Today we're diving into a dug-in deadbeat's night terror, the noob tube, the predator pulverizer, Tony's little friend, the M203. The M203 and M320. That sounds like a dyslexic Marine's worst nightmare. Many a fond memories have been made by that iconic shape. Although I'm sure those memories are vastly different depending on where you were standing when the unmistakable sound decided to enter the chat. That being said, the concept of a grenade launcher is nothing new. In 1961, the US Army began fielding a new shoulder-mounted grenade launcher, the M79, aka the Thumper. The M79 grenade launcher resembled your granddaddy's old shotgun, except it was, shorter. And it fired a 40mm grenade, and its, sole purpose in life was to take soft targets and make them even softer. But in every other way, it was exactly the same. Now, it quickly won over US troops for its simplicity, devastating firepower, and accuracy compared to physically throwing a grenade. Now, one tiny and not at all significant drawback was that grenadiers during that era were only armed with a thumper and a 1911 pistol. Now, while I personally applaud the tenacity to go into battle armed with only a pistol and a single shot soup dispenser, this did mean one less rifle was on the battlefield. The next logical step was to get something that could attach to an M16. And with that, the military held a competition for a new underbarreled grenade launcher. The XM203 won the competition, and by 1969, the first M203s were fielded in Vietnam and were used to great effect. The M203 is a single-shot 40mm underbarrel grenade launcher designed to attach to a rifle. Now it uses the same rounds as the older standalone M79, which utilizes the high-low propulsion system to keep the recoil down. Now the primary purpose of the M203 was to engage enemies in dead space that can't be reached by direct fire. More or less the doctrine of the time was if it moves, shoot at it.
If it bleeds, we can kill it.
You didn't even need to score a direct hit for the 40 Mike to do its job. Repeated 40mm area impacts would blow out eardrums, blind you, confuse you, and overall just decrease your morale. These are all good things because it makes it easier for you and your trigger-happy buddies to light up the targets and everyone gets to bed down at a decent hour. Now, while it's most effective at around 150 yards, the M203 has a maximum firing range of about 400 yards. The Army has all kinds of training manuals and live fire ranges which can teach you to shoot this thing well. But really what it came down to was shooting the M203 well had to be treated like an art form. Some guys just got it. They could lay down rounds on target with minimal effort, and some guys, no matter how much they were trained, just weren't very good with it. There are countless stories that all talk about that one guy in the unit that was so good with Kentucky windage that he could put a 40 Mike through a window from 300 meters away on the first try. All that said, the M203 itself is only half of the killing equation. The other half are the rounds that it shoots. Some of the rounds most often used are the high explosive rounds and the high explosive dual purpose round when you're feeling like you need to make a statement, but you gotta do it when the bouncer won't let you in. And just to be clear, the explosion from one of these isn't gonna rock your world. If you ever watch like an 80s movie, they all make it seem like a grenade would demolish a whole house. It's not like that at all. But if we're all being honest with ourselves, the most common round that you're gonna see is that practice round. Comment down below if you've ever seen someone not clear the barrier with that grenade tube and just blow orange chalk right in the shooter's face. Now, regardless of what rounds you shoot, they all have one thing in common, which is the high-low pressure system. This is what gives that distinct sound that they're so known for. But despite decades of use, the M203 grenade launcher has a number of issues that users had to contend with. It made the rifle it was mounted to cumbersome and heavy. It's kind of like the M240 Bravo. It's cool at first, until you're the one that has to lug that thing around. The trigger and safety weren't that great either. The leaf sight could have been better, so eyeballing it became the norm. The sights didn't have any illumination, so it sucked at night. It was also noisy because the little swing swivel on the rifle was constantly banging into the 203 barrel. The slide action nature of the design limits the length of ammunition that could fit in it, and finally, it's kind of a big one, but if it misfired, the operator has to open that breech and manually spin the grenade before attempting to fire it again. Now, it's for these reasons that in 2004, the Army announced a requirement for a commercial off-the-shelf 40 Mike grenade launcher. It had to be more reliable, ergonomic, accurate, and safer than the outgoing M203. It also had to be able to fire 40mm low-velocity grenades, but be loaded from the breech in order to accept longer projectiles. And when it comes to designing small arms that do good killing, there aren't many better than H&K. Heckler & Koch submitted a compact standalone unit and ultimately was the winner. In 2019, the Pentagon began replacing the M203 with the M320. Now, the M320 is a lightweight launcher known for its safer operation, improved ergonomics, and the fact that it can be used as either a standalone weapon or attached to the underbarrel of rifles. Now, it was first introduced to the Army, and yet again, the US Marine Corps, seeing an opportunity to get more killing done, adopted it as well. Like I said, the M203 can be used as a standalone weapon or as an attachment. It also has better sights and uses a double action trigger, unlike the M203 single action trigger. This means that in the case of a misfire, the operator simply pulls the trigger a second time without having to physically handle the grenade. Now, unloaded, the M203 weighs about 3.4 pounds in the mounted configuration and about 6.4 pounds in the standalone configuration. The sights are day-night, making it more accurate when you're attempting to shoot in the dark. Now, the main selling point was the M320 barrel swings out to the side for loading. This allows it to potentially fire longer rounds than the standard smoke, HE, or illumination. Doesn't change the max effective range though, it's about the same as the M203. But just like most things, soldiers are going to find a way to bitch about something. I swear, this is why the military won't give us nice things. They said it was too bulky, too heavy, and the stock was too short. You know, when I think about it, those are valid criticisms, but as long as you're not mounting it to an M4, like, it works fine. But that's just the Army talking. The Marines, on the other hand, well, like most things, they take a challenge and find a way to turn it into a training opportunity. Instead of complaining about the unwieldy standalone characteristics of the M320, they created a team to figure out how to better utilize the 320 to harvest more meat. What they came up with was some kind of improvised single-point sling holster 550 cord setup that is perfectly balanced for each individual Marine. It's this insane overthinking to achieve overkilling that makes me love the Marine Corps. And if you'd like to see more Devil Dogs dishing out high cyclet rate freedom samples, then check out my videos on the M249 SAW or the M240. That's all for today, guys. Be sure to like and subscribe, or don't. It's a free country. Do whatever you want. CT6 out.